The blade stopped 3 inches from my throat. Not because the Empress's guard had mercy, the Velanthi didn't understand that concept, but because she raised her hand. One elegant, pale violet finger, and the executioner froze mid-swing. "Wait," Empress Serayn commanded. The throne room fell silent. 300 nobles, warriors, and diplomats watched as I knelt on the obsidian floor, my hands bound behind my back with magnetic restraints. Blood dripped from a cut above my eye, a parting gift from my capture. "You are the one they call the Shadow of Kerath?" Her voice echoed through the crystalline pillars. "I am." She descended from her throne. Each step was measured precise, the walk of someone who had never been rushed in her life. The Velanthi were tall, their skin ranging from deep violet to pale lavender, their eyes solid gold without pupils. Serayn stood nearly 7 feet, her ceremonial armor gleaming like black mercury. "You destroyed 17 of my military installations. You freed 40,000 human prisoners from my labor camps. You assassinated 3 of my high admirals." She stopped before me. "And you did this with less than 200 fighters." 212, I corrected, at our peak. A murmur rippled through the crowd. One of the nobles, an elderly male with ritual scars across his face, stepped forward. "Your radiance, this human filth has earned death 1,000 times over. Why do we—" "Silence, Lord Vyrath." She didn't look at him. Her golden eyes remained fixed on me. "I am speaking with the enemy who has done what no Velanthi commander could accomplish in 3 centuries. I said nothing. There was nothing to say. I had accepted death the moment they caught me. My rebellion had bought humanity time, maybe a decade, maybe 2. Before the Velanthi finished their expansion into human space. That was enough. "What is your name?" she asked. "You know my name. I know your war name. I want the one your mother gave you." Something twisted in my chest. A memory. Fire. Screaming. My mother's hand going limp in mine as Velanthi soldiers marched through our colony. "Marcus," I said. "Marcus Cole." She studied me for a long moment. Then she turned to face her court. "I led a rebellion against her empire," she announced, and every noble in the room stiffened. 37 years ago, before any of you held your current titles, I raised an army against my own mother." The silence became absolute. I believed her weak. I believed our expansion had stalled because she lacked the will to dominate. I gathered 3 legions and marched on this very palace. She paused. I failed. My forces were scattered. I knelt in this same spot waiting for execution. Lord Vyrath looked physically ill. Several younger nobles exchanged shocked glances. This was clearly not common knowledge. "My mother offered me a choice," Serayn continued. "Die as a traitor or live as her heir, but only if I could prove I understood why I had failed." She turned back to me. I had confused strength with cruelty. Power with domination. I thought ruling meant crushing all resistance. Her golden eyes seemed to bore into my skull. It took me 20 years to understand that the greatest power lies in knowing which enemies to destroy, and which to elevate. "Your radiance," Vyrath interrupted, his voice strained. "Surely you are not comparing this human to yourself." "He is not even. He's exactly what I was." Serayn cut him off, except he succeeded where I failed. He built an army from nothing. He struck at the heart of my empire. And he did it not for power or glory, but because he believed his cause was just. She gestured, and my restraints clicked open. I didn't move. This had to be a trap. "Stand," she ordered. Slowly I rose to my feet. My legs ached from hours of kneeling. My eye was swelling shut. But I stood straight because that was all I had left. "Marcus Cole," the Empress said, "I offer you my throne instead of war." The court erupted. Nobles shouted. Guards gripped their weapons. Lord Vyrath actually drew his blade before 2 other lords restrained him. "This is madness," someone screamed. Serayn raised her hand again, and silence fell like a hammer. "Not the throne of the Velanthi," she clarified. "But a throne nonetheless. A seat on my council. A voice in all matters concerning human territories. Legal protection for every human in my empire." She tilted her head slightly. "And a chance to prove that your people are more than the primitives we have treated you as." "Why?" The word escaped before I could stop it. "Because you terrify me," she said simply. "And I have not been afraid in a very long time." She extended her hand, palm up, fingers spread. A Velanthi gesture of something. I didn't know what. "This is how we seal binding oaths," she explained. "Palm to palm. It cannot be broken without death." I looked at her hand, then at the court full of beings who wanted me dead. Then back at her, "And if I refuse? Then you die. Your rebellion dies with you. And in 50 years humanity will be nothing but a footnote in our history." Her expression didn't change. "Or you can take my hand, and we can build something neither of our peoples has seen before." I had spent 8 years fighting. I had lost everything. My family, my home, my humanity in many ways. I had killed so many Velanthi that I had stopped counting. But looking into her golden eyes, I saw something I hadn't expected. Exhaustion. The same bone-deep weariness that I felt every time I closed my eyes. She wasn't offering this because she was merciful. She was offering it because she was tired. Tired of endless war. Tired of ruling through fear. Tired of being alone at the top of an empire that demanded perfection. I took her hand. The quarters they gave me were larger than any building in my childhood colony. I spent the first week expecting assassination. Every meal could be poisoned. Every servant could be a killer. I slept in 2-hour intervals, my back against the wall, a stolen knife under my pillow. But the attempts never came. On the 8th day, the Empress summoned me. "You have not attended any council sessions," she said. We were in her private study, a room filled with star maps and ancient texts. She sat behind a desk carved from something that looked like bone. "You have not left your chambers." "I've been adjusting." "You've been hiding." It wasn't an accusation. Just an observation. "You fought my empire for 8 years. You faced death countless times. And now you are afraid of politics." "Politics doesn't shoot at you," I said. "It smiles while it poisons your drink." Something flickered across her face. If I didn't know better, I might have called it amusement. "Come with me," she said. She led me through corridors I hadn't seen before, past the public areas into the deeper sections of the palace. Guards bowed as we passed. Servants pressed themselves against walls. We emerged onto a balcony overlooking the capital. The city stretched to the horizon, spires of crystal and metal, transportation networks pulsing with light, billions of Velanthi going about their lives. And in the distance, barely visible through the atmospheric haze, a massive construction platform was assembling something in orbit. "Another warship?" I asked. "A medical station," she said. "The 4th this decade." I turned to look at her. "You seem surprised," she observed. "Your empire has been at war for 300 years. Yes. And in that time we have also built schools, hospitals, research facilities, and infrastructure that allows trillions of beings to live in relative comfort." She leaned against the railing. "Did you think we were nothing but conquerors?" I didn't answer. Because yes, that was exactly what I had thought. "Your rebellion killed 37,000 of my soldiers," she said quietly. "Each one had a family. Parents who loved them. Children who waited for them to come home." She paused. "I am not saying this to condemn you. War requires sacrifice. But I want you to understand, those were not monsters. They were people. My people." "And my people?" The words came out sharper than I intended. "The ones your soldiers killed. The colonies they burned. The children I know." Her voice cut through my rising anger. "I know what was done. I have read every report. Seen every image. Understood every atrocity committed in my name." She turned to face me fully. "Why do you think I stopped your execution?" I had asked myself that question 1,000 times. Strategy. Politics. Public relations. 100 cold, calculated reasons. "Because you saw yourself in me," I said slowly. "You said so in the throne room. That is part of it." She was quiet for a moment. "But there is more. When I read your intelligence file, when I understood what drove you, I felt something I had not felt in decades." "What?" "Shame." The word hung between us. "I inherited an empire built on expansion," she continued. "I told myself it was necessary. That the Velanthi were simply claiming our rightful place among the stars. I ignored the cost because acknowledging it would mean admitting that everything I had done, everything my mother had done, everything our people had done was wrong." She looked out at her city. "And then, a human with 200 soldiers made me see the truth, not through speeches or diplomacy. Through fire and blood and an absolute refusal to submit." She glanced at me. "You forced me to look. And I could not look away." I didn't know what to say. This wasn't the cold, calculating empress I had expected. This was someone carrying a weight I recognized, the weight of choices that couldn't be undone. "I cannot undo what has been done," she said. "I cannot bring back the dead. But I can change what comes next. And for that, I need you." "Why me?" "You have admirals, diplomats, advisors, all of whom will tell me what I want to hear." Her golden eyes met mine. "You will tell me the truth. Even if it costs you everything. That is what you have proven." She extended her hand again. Not the formal palm-up gesture of binding oaths, but something simpler. An offered handshake. "I'm not asking you to forgive what we have done," she said. "I am asking you to help me ensure it never happens again." I looked at her hand for a long moment. Then I took it. 3 months changed everything. And nothing. I attended council meetings. I argued for human rights. I pushed for reform of the labor system, for representation in local governments, for recognition of human cultural practices. Some changes passed. Most didn't. The nobles smiled at me in public and plotted against me in private. Lord Vyrath made it his personal mission to undermine every proposal I submitted. But Serayn stood with me. Every time. Even when it cost her political capital. even when her own council turned against her. That was when I started to notice other things. The way she paused before entering crowded rooms, steeling herself. The way her shoulders dropped slightly when we were alone, as if she could finally stop performing. The way she listened when I talked about Earth, not with the detached interest of a ruler gathering intelligence, but with something that looked almost like longing. "You miss your home," she said one evening. We had taken to sharing meals together, officially to discuss policy, but increasingly to simply talk. "I miss the idea of it," I admitted. "The real thing was gone before I was old enough to appreciate it." "How old were you?" "When the attack happened, 12. I set down my utensils. Old enough to remember everything. Young enough that I couldn't do anything about it." She was quiet for a moment. "I was 14 when my father died," she said. "Assassinated by a rival faction. I found his body." I looked up. My mother became Empress that day. And I learned that showing grief was weakness. That mourning was a luxury the powerful could not afford. Her voice was carefully neutral. "I have not cried since. That's..." I struggled for words. "That's not strength, that's... I know." She cut me off gently. "I know what it is, but knowing does not make it easier to change." Before I could respond, the door burst open. "Your Radiance." A guard rushed in, breaking every protocol. "The eastern provinces, Lord Vyrath has declared separation. His forces have taken control of 3 military installations, and..." Serayn was on her feet before he finished speaking. The transformation was instant. The tired woman vanished, replaced by the Empress. "How many troops?" 70,000 confirmed. "More rallying? And his demands?" The guard hesitated. His eyes flicked to me. "He demands the execution of the human," he said. "And your abdication." The war council lasted through the night. Vyrath had been planning this for months, maybe longer. He had supporters across multiple provinces, allies in the military, sympathizers even within the palace. His propaganda painted Serayn as corrupted, weakened by human influence, unfit to rule. And at the center of his grievances was me. "If we hand over Cole, this ends," one general argued. "Vyrath has made that clear. One human life against civil war. We do not negotiate with traitors," Serayn cut in. "Your Radiance, with respect. The alternative is we fight." She leaned over the tactical display. "Show me his deployments." I watched her work, redirecting forces, calculating supply lines, identifying weak points in Vyrath's positioning. She was brilliant. Cold and efficient and absolutely in her element. But I saw what she couldn't. "It won't work," I said quietly. Every eye in the room turned to me. "He knows you," I continued. "He's served on your council for 40 years. He knows how you think, how you fight. Every move you make, he's already anticipated." "And what would you suggest?" The general who'd argued for my execution earlier didn't bother hiding his contempt. "He's not expecting me." I met Serayn's gaze. "Give me a ship. A small force. Let me do what I've always done." "Marcus, no." She said my name, something she only did when we were alone. The general's eyebrows rose. "His forces are specifically hunting for you. You would be captured within hours." "Maybe." I stepped closer to the display. "But I know something about fighting impossible odds. And I know something else. Vyrath is terrified of humans. That's why he's doing this. That's his weakness." "What do you propose?" I told them. The infiltration took 7 days. Vyrath had fortified his command center in an ancient fortress, pre-imperial, built into a mountain, supposedly impregnable. I had breached worse. But I didn't go alone. Serayn insisted on joining the strike team. Her council was horrified. Her generals pleaded. She ignored them all. "If I am asking my people to risk their lives," she said, "I will risk mine with them." 15 of us made it through the outer defenses. 12 reached the inner compound. By the time we breached Vyrath's command room, we were down to 8. The old lord was waiting. "Your Radiance." He stood calmly beside his tactical display, surrounded by a dozen guards. "I must admit, I did not expect you to come yourself. How human of you. It ends now, Vyrath." Serayn's voice was steady. "Surrender, and your followers will be shown mercy." "Mercy." He laughed. A harsh, bitter sound. "You would show us the same mercy you have shown the humans? Elevate us? Grant us seats at your table? Turn our empire into a refuge for lesser species?" "The empire is changing," she said. "With or without your approval. Then it will change without me." He raised his hand. "Kill them all. Start with the human." The guards moved. I moved faster. 8 years of fighting had honed my reflexes beyond anything the Velanthi expected. I took down 2 guards before they finished drawing their weapons. Serayn was beside me, not behind me, beside me, her blade dancing through the air with a grace I couldn't match. We fought back to back. The others fell around us. Blood, both violet and red, sprayed across the ancient stone. And then there was only Vyrath. He held a pistol aimed at Serayn's head. "Stay back, human," he snarled. "Or I end your precious Empress." I stopped. "That's what you are to her, isn't it?" Vyrath's face twisted with disgust. Pet, tot. A project. She thinks she can use you to legitimize her weakness. I'm not her pet, I said quietly. Then what are you? I looked at Serayn. Her golden eyes met mine. And in that moment I understood what I had been too afraid to acknowledge for months. I'm the man who loves her. The words came out simple. Honest. Real, Dial. Vyrath's concentration broke, just for a second. Serayn moved. The pistol discharged harmlessly into the ceiling. And then her blade was through his chest. He crumpled. The rebellion collapsed within days. Without Vyrath's leadership, his coalition fragmented. Most surrendered. Some fled. The civil war ended before it truly began. The coronation hall was empty when I found her. She stood before the throne, the same throne she had offered me months ago, staring at nothing. It's over, I said. Yes. She didn't turn around. Vyrath is dead. His followers are scattered. The Empire is secure. Then why do you sound like you've lost? She was quiet for a long moment. Because I have lost something, she finally said. Something I have protected for 60 years. She turned to face me. You told him you loved me. I did. Did you mean it? I stepped closer. Serayn, the Velanthi do not love the way humans do, she continued. We bond. We mate. We form alliances. But love, your kind of love, is considered a weakness. A surrender of control. Is that what you believe? It is what I was taught. Her voice was barely a whisper. It is what I told myself every time I felt something I could not explain. Every time I looked at you and saw not an enemy, not an asset, not a symbol, but simply you. I reached out. Slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. My hand found hers. Her skin was cool against my palm, different, alien, and yet somehow exactly right. I'm not asking you to surrender, I said. I'm not asking you to be weak. I'm asking if you'll let me stand beside you. Not as a council member. Not as a representative of humanity. Just as someone who sees you, all of you, and chooses to stay. Her golden eyes searched my face. This will destroy everything we have built politically, she said. An empress bonding with a human, then we'll build something new. For the first time since I had known her, Serayn smiled. Not the careful diplomatic expression I had seen in court. Something real. Something vulnerable. You are impossible, she said. I prefer determined. She laughed, an actual laugh, and the sound broke something open in my chest. Then she leaned down and her lips met mine. The kiss was gentle. Questioning. First step into unknown territory. When we parted, I kept my hand in hers. What now? I asked. Now we face my council. We announce that the Empress of the Velanthi has chosen a human consort. We endure the outrage, the protests, the threats. She squeezed my hand. And then we change the galaxy. I looked up at the throne. At the crystal pillars. At the weight of an empire that had nearly destroyed my people. And somehow, standing beside her, it didn't feel so heavy. Together? I asked. Together, she confirmed. She led me to the throne, not to sit, but to stand before it as equals. And as the first light of dawn filtered through the high windows, we began planning a future that neither of our peoples had ever imagined. One built not on conquest or fear, but on the impossible, terrifying, utterly human thing called love.